Okay, so today we're going to do sort of like a part two from I said four prophets. They're actually not prophets, but there were prophecies from Baba Vanga, Edgar Cayce, Dolores Cannon, and then I talked about Werner von Braun gave a prophecy of basically some false events that were going to happen. They were not real, and they have a specific purpose. I think you know what it is. And why now? Well, the material world and those who prefer to dominate that are being very threatened. They're very threatened by spirituality because it disrupts their choices, their way of life, because they like control and the monetary world to bend to their needs and desires. But we're done having it infringe on our choices. Now, I'm going to share with you specifically what Edgar Cayce and Dolores Cannon said about this time period. Now, they didn't name dates, but we know we're going through it because all of the things that they have talked about happening are transpiring right now. So we know we're in it. What is that? There is a spiritual transformation happening, and anyone is and everyone is welcome. And those who don't want to go into that space are fighting like heck to dominate the material world. Now, here's what they said about that. Here's what they said would happen. And this is, I don't even like the word warning. I don't like anything fear-based. I just want you to be aware of these things so that you're not believing everything, usually the media, all these things that we're told. We're starting to question all of it, and that's a good thing. Most of it's been distorted or not true, and that's fine, but you and I are creating a new world. What did Dolores and Edgar say about what we should be aware of during this very important transition time? I'm going to share with you exactly what they said right now. Welcome to Landria on YouTube. I am here to help you break through the fear. You get to choose the story. Is it a fear-based one? It creates. Is it a positive one? It creates. Is it a future of love? It creates that. And now we're realizing every individual walks around with jewels in their tattered pockets. You just have to reach in. And you are equipped as a co-creator to change anything in your life right now. Now we're deciding that as a planet, we've got some messed up things going on out there, and we're saying no more. What is it? Of course, conflict and control. We're done with that. We want to go into unity, and I'm going to tell you what's happening as we go into that, according to Edgar Cayce and Dolores Cannon. Why did I pick those two? They spoke heavily about the spiritual transition that the planet would go through, and that the predictions, especially of Edgar Cayce, that seemed very horrific, that were focused on mostly the bad predictions. Actually, the most important part of his teachings were that we control it. There's nothing he said that cannot be changed. And Dolores Cannon has warned of that too, that everything's a choice and that there's nothing that has control over you. All right? When you realize you're a co-creator, you can do anything. Now, don't dismiss the reason we came here. First of all, we forgot that we are this amazing co-creator of all things. And we also came here to know darkness, to know the shadow, to overcome it, to experience it. What's it like to be sad, to experience loss, to have an ego that will tell you a lot of stories? And when you take a good look, and this is the shadow work that you must go through right now, take a good look at those thoughts and beliefs, and who are they directed toward? Things that you want? Yeah, even if you want world peace and you want others to be awakened, that's still ego. I know you're saying, no, 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 it's me wanting good things. No, it's ego wanting what it wants in its reality. And there's others that don't want to go there. That's when you have to step back and say, it's okay. We are all here at different phases from different experiences, and we're contributing to a collective. But what is that collective going to do? And then I'm going to share something with you that came up in my private members group today. It came up as part of their discussion, and you need to think about this right now because it's so relevant to these points that Edgar Cayce and Dolores Cannon shared that I'm going to share with you right now. Your choices create what I called an algorithm. They direct the quantum field in whatever direction you're focused on. If you are looking at anything negative at all, fantastical stories, you are actually telling YouTube and the planet, I like that. I like to hear about reptilians and how evil they are. You say, oh no, it's just entertainment. And I'm going to ask you one question before we proceed. And through this whole thing, ask yourself one question. Would that be allowed in the penthouse of the New World? I had to stop watching murder mysteries on television. I'm a writer, so I'm fascinated by that. I like solving the problems, but I realized I was telling the networks that I like negative stories. They don't know why I'm watching it. Oh, well, I'm a writer and I like to solve. No, guess what? I wrote Breakthrough Fear instead. I had to change my choice of algorithms. And that's what we're going to do today. And you can tell yourself whatever you want, but whatever media you're tuning into, because you're curious, it's you know what? People stop and watch a train wreck. What happened to all those people? Watch where you place your attention. Everything that you connect with manifests. And so even if it is a negative story, you are actually contributing to the creation of it. That's quantum physics. Edgar Cayce's readings were mostly over 14,000 of them, healing people. That was his big thing. Healing happened instantaneously. He was dealing with a current situation. The further we go out into the future, the less predictive these things are because we can change anything. And the further out you go, the less we can know what that will be, but we can only monitor it according to what we're thinking and feeling. Now, that means that you can go into a different frame of mind and completely change that future, yours personally and the planet. Dolores Cannon's transcripts, compiled from thousands of quantum healing hypnosis technique sessions, published across her books, such as the Three Waves of Volunteers. I'm going to touch briefly on that today. The New Earth and Convoluted Universe series. If you haven't read those, they're fascinating. I'll put her books up here. Neither Cayce nor Cannon used any terms like false flags. And I'm not going to use them today, but just so you know, if you are up on all that stuff, I don't follow that stuff. It's just very negative. But what I want you to know is that is in alignment with really things that are going to happen that aren't true and they're made up. Why? Their deception. Why? It's meant to send us off track from our path. Now, why am I shooting this video? You could say this is very negative. Now, what I want you to know is those are just choices by other beings, neither good nor bad. There are challenges. If we didn't have challenges, we wouldn't have to make choices, right? Everything's great. Now, what if you get challenged by something and you're really tempted? That would be your teaching and your lesson. So don't discount the things that are going on out there. They are the true challenges of can you still love them anyways? Can you go into compassion? Can you go into oneness? Can you focus on the penthouse goings on instead of that in the basement? Yes. And don't play that game. That will challenge you. So those choices are all part of the teachings of you being a human. Celebrate it and say, I'm going to pass all these tests. But do not think for a moment that you are here to change somebody's free will or their choices or to judge that. You'll be in the basement if you do that. So, can we have a world of balance? Yes. Your own choices, your shadow work has to be done right now. I did a video on that about Carl Jung and Edgar Cayce said we have to work through that. Until you work through your own shadow, what is that? The programming, the thoughts, the beliefs that you may not even know you still have. You think you're a good person, and you say, "Wait a second, I'm still doing some judging. I'm still categorizing people, and having these feelings of ooh," instead of saying it is what it is. Let's talk about what's going to challenge you. All right, so both Cayce and Cannon use terms a little bit different than what we're using today. Both explicitly warned of grand deceptions, the manipulation of fear, and physical social upheavals that would occur during humanity's transition. We know we're in it. We know we're in it and we're demanding answers, and the nastiness is rising to the top. I'm going to talk about that because that is not a nice thing. When you fooled everybody and all of a sudden we're finding out some things we don't like and you're out of favor, you lose your power and your control, right? The ego doesn't like that. This is all coming to the surface right now, and we're demanding answers. Why? What is the truth? We'll never 100% have the truth of anything. But if you demand a future for yourself of peace and love and you accept nothing else, that means you must live it. Now, Edgar Cayce, in almost all my videos, says you must live the prayer. If you pray for peace, you must live the peace, okay? This is your challenge. Let's talk about Edgar Cayce's deception, the Hall of Records, and the shift. Cayce's readings, delivered between 1901 and 1944, outlined a specific timeline of global transition marked by archaeological revelations. We're seeing that happen now. They're having all kinds of discoveries. Physical earth changes, that has been really ramping up, right? And spiritual testing, not just transition, testing. That's happening right now, and it's going to ramp up more the more you go into the spiritual transitional period of light and love, and you will see it differently, the less you'll be challenged by it, and the more it's actually going to be a little entertaining. Let's talk about the warning of spiritual and political deception. Cayce warned that as the world transitioned into a new spiritual era, which he associated with the Aquarian Age and the new order of things, right? Not to be compared to some other statements, older entrenched power structures would attempt to maintain control through division. That's the only way you can control peoples. Get them to argue with each other. Did you ever see the reruns of the Twilight Zone? Aliens land and they're watching humans. Well, we don't know that in the beginning. We just see some shooting star and some kid comes out with a tinfoil hat on his head and says, aliens landed. Television sets are going out. The radio's going out. Lights start flashing and blinking. Everybody on the streets coming out, having these discussions. And then this kid says, yes, I heard on the news that aliens have landed. And they're like, Billy, it's always Billy, right? Billy, that's silly. So these things start to happen, and then they all start to turn on each other. Somebody's car starts honking. They said, he's the alien. Pretty soon the guns come out and they start this war against each other. The scene comes back to two human-looking aliens sitting in a spacecraft watching them. And one of them says, is it like this all over the planet? And the other guy says, yep, we don't have to do anything. Basically, they're going to take each other out. Was that a brilliant episode or what? And that's exactly what is happening now and what we must avoid. Don't turn on each other. And this is exactly the deception you're going to have to take a good hard look at. Power structures will attempt to maintain control through division. Never forget that. Oneness is the ultimate goal for all of us. And you can disagree with somebody, but that doesn't mean division and separation. Edgar Cayce called it the sons of Belial versus children of the law of one. He frequently referenced a historical reoccurring spiritual conflict originating in Atlantis. He warned that the mindsets of the sons of Belial, those who use spiritual laws and advanced technology for selfish gain, that was Atlantis, material monopoly, and the subjugation of others would resurface in the modern times to deceive the public. That's what's showing up right now. It took down Atlantis. Right? They misused their powers. The manipulation of truth. He warned that spiritual truths would be distorted by leadership to create factions, stating that the ultimate test of the transition would be discerning universal oneness from manufactured division. Manufactured division. We have to stay in universal oneness, no matter what shows up. Okay, that's the test, and you're going to want to take sides. The unveiling of hidden truths, that's the Hall of Records. We're waiting for this one. This is going to be very exciting if we see it in our lifetime. Once again, there are no timelines on any of this stuff. No one can know the date or the time, right? Cayce predicted that the transition would be verified by the discovery of physical evidence that would shatter conventional human history. How exciting is that? I can't wait. Everything we thought we were that's so restricted is going to be amazing. The repositories, he stated that three identical repositories of ancient knowledge exist. Three. One in Egypt near the Sphinx, one in the Yucatan, Giza, Maya connection, and one in Bimini. All right. And I think we've seen that on the bottom of the water, right? Bimini. The trigger, according to reading 378-16, these records would be opened when they're directly related to when humanity reached a specific stage of spiritual evolution and entered a period of shifting. The records would reveal humanity's true divine origins and past misuse of technology. In other words, the discoveries rely on us transitioning, not we're going to transition when they have the discoveries. We have to get there. And then these will be discovered because they cannot be released until they're in alignment with our frequency so that certain things can happen. If we're not ready for it, it's not going to do us any good. That's all the more reason for us to work much harder on that transition period of love and oneness, the law of one. Physical pole shifts and earth changes. Well, Cayce warned that the spiritual transition would be mirrored by physical changes to the planet. So the worse it is out there, the more we have to go, oops, we're not doing a very good job here. These events will be driven by a shift in human consciousness in the planet's alignment. So we haven't seen anything so horrible, right? All the solar flares, nothing really bad has happened to that extent that we were supposedly, and all of his predictions that he said would happen in a certain time period, that has come and gone. And of course, can appear, but I think that we're going into a different era and that we're not going to see the drastic changes provided that we stay on track with our oneness. He famously predicted that the earth will be broken up in many places and spoke of a shifting of the poles. That's reading 3976-15, which would cause dramatic geographic changes, signaling the definitive end of the old era, not the world, the old era, right? You don't have to, you're eternal, right? Don't be running around. I'm going to go to a safe place. Guess what that is? And if you saw my video, I said, where are the safest places to go? Where there is no fear. So if people are in fear and they're running to go to places where they think they're going to be safe, they're taking the fear with them. And yeah, things are going to happen there that weren't originally predicted. Why? Because you shifted the energy field in the future. Dolores Cannon, let's talk about the new earth and the illusion of fear. She was big on this, and I'm really big on the illusion of fear and breaking through it, experiencing it, but not allowing it to control you. Her material focuses heavily on a literal frequency shift of the planet. Her warnings regarding the transition center almost entirely on psychological manipulation and the weaponization of fear. She talks directly about this. The separation of two earths. Cannon's transcripts describe a metaphysical split where the earth is moving from a dense third-dimensional frequency to a higher fifth-dimensional frequency, and that is what she calls the new earth. Not some space or time, that is separate physically, but it does create a physical world. It does create a physical reality, just like Edgar Cayce was saying. Our transition into the oneness will determine the events that happen. So we are totally in control of that reality. The warning, she warned that this transition would cause extreme polarization. The old structures, institutions, and individuals who thrive on control would experience a chaotic breakdown. I think we're seeing it right now. The weaponization of fear and media deception. Here we go. There's things being released out there about our health, about our finances, about just about, you name it. Yeah, right? We're seeing it. And the UFO files and so that no big deal. There's nothing in there. Why? It's just trying to appease us because the truth is so much deeper than that. And we'll never know it from the institutions that we've never been able to trust anyways. So let it go. They are what they are. But here's what I want to share with you about that. There are others who are waiting to see what that is. And if they are not released, let's just say in full disclosure, don't worry, light workers, you might call some of them whistleblowers. I don't particularly believe all of them either, but light workers will step up and reveal some things. We've seen these scientists missing, and they possess great knowledge, but there are those who are going to use that knowledge for something greater, and they don't care what happens to them. They know it's time to speak up. So don't worry. We're not looking at the institutions to give us disclosure. There are those who have information that are going to take big chances, step up, and share that information. I think you're going to see that happening probably fairly soon. So the most direct parallel to a staged or manipulated threat in Cannon's work involves the deliberate generation of fear. So that could be some kind of, alien visitation. It could be any number of things. And I think that has been in the works. And if you saw my last video, Werner von Braun warned of that, and that was well over 20 years ago. He's been gone for a long time. He said that would be what he called the last card, and it would be used for manipulation and control again. Save us, yes. There is no such thing as evil. There's darkness and experiences and adventures, and you can call it evil, but it's still one. Source is everything, so source is that. Don't oppose it. Let's raise our frequency, and then nothing can truly touch you. The illusion of chaos. Cannon warned that during the transition, the mainstream media, governments, and old power structures would generate an unprecedented amount of fear-based narratives. She spoke of wars, economic collapses, and external threats. It's happening now. The purpose of the deception, according to her transcripts, fear is a dense frequency used by controlling forces to keep humanity anchored to the old earth. If people buy into the fear, their vibrational frequency drops, preventing them from moving forward in the spiritual transition. We're not unified in that space, right? We oppose one another. We hoard and we separate ourselves and argue and judge, and they love that. Don't do it. If you want to go to the penthouse, I'm going to ask you again, is what you're doing, watching, speaking, would that be allowed in the penthouse? If the answer is no, work on it. The ET deception canon explicitly noted that information regarding extraterrestrial presence would be heavily distorted, while her sessions claimed that many off-world intelligences were observing or assisting the Earth's transition peacefully. She warned that official narratives would paint them as a hostile threat to maintain global military control. A lot of you are watching that. They're evil, they're here, they're controlling. Really? Well, okay. They're just joining the humans that are doing that. Who, I don't care if it looks like a reptilian or a human. It's negative, it's negative. They're not separate from us. We are absolutely at the lowest end of all of this. Seriously, we're the biggest threat. I mean, who else kills each other and lies and takes over? And the things we do here to our animals and our planet are horrific. What could be worse than that? Total death? No, that's a liberation. Physical and mental symptoms of the transition. Cannon warned that as the frequencies clash, individuals would experience physical and psychological distress. That doesn't mean, oh, I'm awakening, I'm feeling, angry. No. It's different kind of symptoms. Let's talk about the reset symptoms. She documented subjects reporting sudden fatigue, disorientation, dietary changes, and vivid dreaming as the physical body attempts to adjust to the shifting energies. I have the most incredible dreams. Oh, they're so beautiful and vivid. And do you have these? I would love to hear your comments. What are you experiencing? If it's fear and anxiety, that's a little bit different. Then ask yourself why you're going into that. You may still be in fear. So that's shadow work. Work on it. Societal chaos. She noted that those who resist the spiritual shift would display heightened aggression, paranoia, mental instability, causing temporary social instability before the transition stabilizes. So let's talk about the primary threat. Edgar Cayce, resurgence of Atlantean Belial mindsets, abuse of power, and technology to create division. The technology is here. We see it. It's nothing wrong with the technology. It's that humans happen to be creating it and using it, right? It's that frequency that makes it a threat to us. Dolores, the deliberate orchestration of global fear-based narratives to lower human frequency. That's the primary threat. The deception mechanism, well, Cayce says institutional manipulation of truth, denial of human spiritual origins. Okay? Dolores Cannon, media propaganda, framing universal shifts or cosmic visitors as terrifying threats. I don't think they are. I'm not seeing anything happen here. And if we do, can they be worse than us? I don't know. We'll find out or not. The physical sign, Cayce said, discovery of the Hall of Records, physical pole shifts, and earth changes. Cannon said a literal splitting of realities, 3D versus 5D, physical and emotional upgrade symptoms. And the ultimate outcome, according to Edgar Cayce, a return to the law of one, realization of interconnectedness. You must work on this all the time because whatever's going to happen, start happening out there is going to fight harder than ever to get you to step away from that. What did Cannon say? The manifestation of a new earth completely detached from old systems of control. So yes, we have wonderful things to look forward because we're going to create them. Ask yourself the question again, is what I'm thinking, what I'm doing, what I'm watching in media, would that be allowed in the penthouse? Would that be part of a new earth? And I know, again, it's tempting, but you're telling YouTube and the entire internet and television, all media, I like watching this. I like negativity. I like fear-based. Well, they're just warning us. Are they warning you? Is there a positive message at the end of that warning? My warning to you is that there's going to be a lot of deception out there. And if you are in touch with your core power, and that is oneness, that one consciousness of love, none of it is going to affect you. None of it. So that is our major focus here at this point in time in 2026, because we're going to see some big old shifts of truths and all kinds of systems collapsing, and there's nothing that can be done to stop it. Why? Because we're not participating in it anymore, and it doesn't have control over you. Edgar Cayce, I'll say it again. One must live the prayer. You must live the prayer. You can't just ask for something outside of yourself and be this over here that's destructive or negative or judgmental. You have to live it. Can I go to the penthouse with what I'm doing right now? You have to take responsibility. We have a lot of excuses. Oh, it's entertainment. I'm saying, well, entertain yourself in the basement because up in the penthouse, we have other things to do. And it doesn't include that world. That world is gone. Well, if you want to live in it, you can continue to. It is your choice, 100%. Nobody's going to take you down. There's no power over you. There's no dark force that takes over you. If there is, it must be because you're down in that basement hanging out with it. Get off that floor, push the button and go up a few floors and start to clear out that shadow. Do the shadow work. Those of you who would like to explore some of the products that I purchase, businesses that I support, if you go in my description, you can have discounts on how to clean up your water, not using toxins in your house, all kinds of wonderful things, right down to your toothpaste. What are you using? Toothpaste is extremely toxic. I don't know if you know that. Start cleaning it up because when we start purchasing from the businesses that care about the planet and people, we put everybody else out of business, not out of spite, but out of higher choice. It's just that simple. Live the prayer. I hope that you will subscribe and tell YouTube, I want more positive, empowering messages. I don't want to sit and listen to the horrible stuff that's going on out there with no conclusion to it. We can end the horrible stuff going on out there, but not if you're focused on it. Shut it down. So many of you in my membership, I love it, don't know what's going on because you don't watch any of it. Congratulations. And as one of our members said, Monica, she said, if you're really struggling with a decision or how you're feeling, just sit and go into your heart. Now, my caveat to that is make sure you're not already in fear when you do that, because if you're feeling fear, you go, oh, yeah, my heart told me that's a bad guy. Yeah, you have to clear it out. Just let it go. Just let it go. And everything will become clear to you because you do hold a power, because you are whole and perfect, strong and powerful, loving, harmonious, and happy. You have everything you need here. You've always been perfect. You always will be. Everything else is the illusion. There's nothing to get out there. There's nothing to ask for from something separate from you. There are helpers. You do have those who are with you. They're playing roles just like we are. And their role is to guide us, but not to interfere with us. So you can't ask for anything because you can do it yourself. And they will assist when you do it yourself, when you live the prayer. I'll see you in the next video, my friend. Let's work on that. That new earth, it's right here. Namaste.